Hello friends, I wish you all a very warm welcome to my second documentary. If you haven't watched the first one, I highly recommend you to do so before you watch this one. The first one gives you a brief collection of the old world empire, who they were and what happened to them. This one is gonna be pure Meltology. And if you don't have a basic understanding of Meltology, you might not understand everything I'm about to present to you. It's around 8 months since my last one, and my knowledge and how I can explain everything, as well as my English, has improved a lot since then. Before we start, I just wish to give a shout out to the Eagle Eye crew. Everybody with eagle eyes on Instagram and in the chat of my live streams who have been following my journey, everybody who's sharing Meltology with your friends and family, everybody on the Mountains Are Melted Red Brick Buildings Facebook group, I love you all, thank you so much for everything you do. Derek, thanks for being awesome and for killing it with daily Meltology live streams. Please get your book released. I will let everybody know on YouTube and Instagram and everywhere that when it's out and ready. Dean, you're awesome, brother. Good eyes for detail with your eagle eye magnifying glass. Davros and Mark, always amazing boots on the ground evidence. James, always on point with evidence. Ivaldas, also amazing boots on the ground. Jen, thanks for having Meltology live streams. And last but not least, Jerry, for teaching me as well as many others about Meltology to get the ball of Meltology rolling. Now, let's kick some geologists and mudfloaters' ass, cause we are all out of bubblegum. First of all, we are gonna have a look at the different words and terms we use in Meltology, so you can better know what we mean when we say them. As we know, geology use a bunch of pseudo-scientific terms and a ridiculous made-up timeline with billions of years ago, and all this nonsensical crap and lies. The truth of Meltology is much easier. All we gotta do is simply describe what we're seeing with our eyes. It's very simple, people. Your eyes never lie, but your mind can be programmed and hijacked with bullshit. Okay, so hopefully you have actually seen my first documentary before watching this one, because it will give you evidence of how everything is fried here in this realm, right? So this documentary is just about the melt. Okay, I'm gonna explain the different levels of melt and what happened, etc. The stuff I know so far, of course, there is still a lot to learn for me as well, so I'm just gonna explain the different types of heat damage we see. And now we're gonna see a few photos of rock balloons or balloon rocks. You know, you can use both of these. It doesn't matter, right? So the heat damage here is all over the wall, but the rock balloons are these. Hold on, can I make that bigger? Okay. So these are the rock balloons. That's when these red bricks just blow up like balloons because of the heat. Okay, you got air and everything in them that's expanding from the heat, and they just blew up like this. Nobody ever built this way, okay? You can clearly see heat damage all over this wall here. but these are the rock balloons we are looking for right now. So you get them in all shapes and sizes I will show you, but this is all heat damage. That's the point. Let's see here. There we go. And here as well, very often we see the heat coming mostly from the bottom, and it's the same in this case here, and you get all of these rock balloons at the bottom. Hottest at the bottom, most damaged at the bottom in this photo as well. I'm not gonna circle them all, you can see them here, hopefully. And here is what I mean with the sizes these rock balloons can be. Okay, some of them are just enormous, like you see here. This little thing here was never built like this. This is a pocket of survival. We will come to that later. And here as well you see this two huge rock balloons. Let's see, there as well you see two large ones on either side of this little structure here. So yeah, this is rock balloons. Here you see a bunch of them. This is all heat damage. You can still see pieces of red brick in here, and of course around here. The reason these arches usually survive is because this whole X Factor event was a electrical overload. Okay, it was a short circuit, and these buildings were the components like on a circuit board. So here in this arch there is no material to electrify, right? Because it's just air. So that's why it got less hot in the arches in most cases. So that's why you see the arches like this. But here, rock balloon, you see the carbon-14 getting squeezed out. All rock balloons, all heat damage. Here as well, pretty large ones. Yeah, you see a brick in here. Big rock balloons. And here, all this heat damage. All rock balloons, carbon-14 being squeezed out here. Here as well, all heat damage. Rock balloons, color getting squeezed out, carbon-14. You can see this is not paint or anything. All this used to be red bricks, and the carbon-14 is being squeezed out from the melt and being concentrated here on the surface. And this one is just very, very mangled, as you can see, but you still see some bricks in there and just a bunch of rock balloons here. All heat damage. You still see some bricks, mangled bricks here and there, but most of them turned into rock balloons. More bricks here. This is all damaged. Nobody built like this. Here, similar thing. All rock balloons. Old wall structure completely cooked out. And now it looks like this. Okay, so now we are gonna look at pockets of survival. Okay, those are all over the place. Some of them are very easy to see and recognize. Some of them are very difficult or could be difficult. But I'm gonna explain a few examples of pockets of survival. So as you can see here, you see a melted building. This section here is in very, very bad condition. But you can still see, like this archway here, you still see the bricks, etc. But most of them are very, very melted. Of course, in mainstream geology, they will tell you this is a mountain and that some primitive people came here to carve this because they had nothing better to do. And that's more easy than just chopping down trees and building a wooden house, right? So we know official explanations, and the official his story is bullshit, so that's why I'm making these videos, to prove it to you. But what you are seeing here is a pocket of survival. You can see the bricks here, very fried, of course. We'll come to that, different levels of heat damage. They are not red bricks anymore, as you can see, but the structure itself, or this part of it here, survived. Very fried. You can see here melt coming around it, starting to mangling it, but the heat stopped, the event stopped before this got completely fried and would look more like this here, for example. And you also have one over here, another pocket of survival. You can also see it's heat damaged by looking at the color, etc. You got more, little bit down here. I can take a zoom, maybe, hold on, sorry. Yeah, I can zoom in a little bit. Here you see the pocket here, and also a little one here, but the rest of it very melted and scorched. As you can see, you got an archway here as well. So that's one. Here you have another one, old walled building, electric component on the circuit board. So this one survived as well, very damaged, of course. And you got some of the bricks here, also very damaged. But it's a pocket of survival, and also here. And here as well, very, very melted. But still you can see remains of steps here, which are of course again very melted. And you also see something over here in better condition than the rest here, for example. So again, nobody carved anything, it's just a melted building. Got more apertures up here. And also here you see some bricks cooked into blocks, very, very fried. This is the same area we saw, just a little closer. A better quality maybe, so you see the fried scorch marks, etc. But you see the pocket of survival, you see more here. And here as well, on the top, this one did not get completely melted, but the rest below it, of course, looks now like this. You still see remains of what used to be red bricks, but very, very fried and melted here as well. Maybe it used to be stairs here, but they got all melted. And here, this one is the most obvious one. Let's see, if you see all the way to the right, hopefully you can see that. You can see a little bit of melt coming over here from the left, behind this structure here. And you see this tower, and you see the ground here. This is all melt flood or brick flood. No such thing as mud floods. We'll come to that as well. But you see here the condition of the building here, very, very heat damaged and melted. You see something in here, pocket of survival. Something up here as well. You see this wall structure just going into the melt here. Pocket of survival. And here is an example of some of them that's a little bit more difficult to notice first off, but you see something up here and also something down here. Pockets of survival, nobody ever built in here. Just these tiny sections here managed to not melt in and turn into this. You see the melt here? Yeah. I'm not joking, guys. And here again, more pockets of survival. You see some remains here, more over there, and of course this closest one, and more up here. And if you pay close attention, you can see there is more going in here. You see a wall structure here going into the melt, and the rest, just look at the wholeness, very, very, very heat damaged, but small sections survived. That's why we call them pockets of survival, and this is what happens when you short circuit a circuit board. Not everything will melt completely 100%. I think you have maybe more up here, a wall structure actually, a little bit up here. And here as well, another impossible to build building. It's a pocket of survival. Incredible, this one. See the bricks all the way down. Some archway here for no fucking reason, because of heat expansion and swelling here. Arch got filled out. And the rest just beyond recognition. Another pocket of survival that managed to stay in pretty good condition. It almost got covered completely by the rock curtain from above. I'll also come to rock curtain in a bit. But this is a pocket of survival. Did not melt. Look at the condition here. How mangled it is. It's a short circuit, my friends. And here as well, you can call this a pocket of survival if you will, because we know nobody carved anything. But this one got more like a mountain, so-called mountain look to it. But many of the apertures managed to survive, and now this is what we have. Here as well, you see fried building components, pockets of survival. You see the rock curtain coming from above. Again, I'll come to that later. But these facades here survived. And here as well, pocket of survival here. You can see how it goes into the melt around here. Nobody built like this. It's nonsense. See even a window here all the way. You would never build it like this. You could never build it like this, and you would never put a window here right into the fucking so-called mountain, right? You see apertures down here. You see more brickwork down here. Something was here, but very melted. Here was an archway, a walkway here into it. But it's all mangled. Look at the bottom, it got all marshmallowed here. Look here. More bricks here, completely mangled. Marshmallowed. Similar to the previous one, pocket of survival, this section. Still recognizable, the rest is just completely melted and mangled. See in here, remains of apertures starting to fill in here from the melt. Here is more. And that was pockets of survival. So here we're gonna talk a little bit about popcorn bricks or popcorn blocks, which is also one of the crazy stuff that happened during this X Factor event. You know what we say, Eagle Eye Crew. Red bricks doing magic tricks. So you can see in this photo here of this component that there is something weird going on. And you gotta ask yourself, do you think anybody built like this? When you can clearly see they were capable of laying the bricks perfectly up here. And, you know, everywhere else. So, this is the popcorn bricks. And this is all because of heat expansion. So, you know, the bricks here just got heat expanded and suddenly they just don't fit anymore. So they just, bam, pop right out. It's all caused by heat expansion. You can see here they're getting very... is it? Hold on. Okay. So here they're getting just mangled together. So this area here is very hot. Here they're just melting and mangling together, churning here. But here you see one here, one under it. Here they are getting more churned together. Starting to see a little rock balloon there actually in action. And here they're just popping out all over the place by the heat, all over the place. Here also we see some rock balloon action, melting together and just blowing up. So yeah, okay, let's go to the next photo and see what we find. If I can do it. There we go. This one is very similar to the one we just saw, and you can see the electrical current just came up on this side only and mangled the bricks, and they all popped out and started to twist around and just get all fucked up and do magic tricks. As you can see, nobody ever built like this, but you can see this side is just completely fine. This is one of the weird shit that happened during this event. But it is what it is, right? We are just explaining what we are seeing. That's Meltology. And here as well, similar effect. You see them popping out all over the place. Popping out popcorn bricks. And here, very similar. Here you can see they are pretty evenly spread out here. This is an old world component on the circuit board, and it's heat damaged. You can see it's scorched here even. It got hot, you know. Popping out. And here, this is one of the more extreme cases. As you can see, the bricks here are very, very, very cooked out. This area got very fried, and you see them popping out everywhere. all over the place. So yeah, that was a few examples of popcorn blocks, popcorn bricks. And now, my friends, are you still with me? So now we're gonna look at a few examples of rock curtains, okay? So as you can see here, you have this fried component or building. You see the color, you see scorching. So it's a fried building here, but what you have to notice here is above it here. This is the mass of the building above, or the section of the building above that melted and started to slowly flow down and cover the lower sections of the building component. So it's just flowing down with pretty high viscosity, it looks like in many cases. Pretty thick here, flowing down slowly before it densified, and now this is the result. This is what we now have here. And of course the retards in mainstream geology will tell you it's a natural formation and that somebody carved into here. But just look at it. This is not carved. Look here at the damage up here. It was built and then it melted. And here as well, very fried, very fried, and you see the melt from above, creating a rock curtain on the lower sections of the building. Here, if you notice, it looks like this floor and everything used to go out more, and it was a door frame or something here. Because you see this straight line and it goes out, and the floor just stopping here. So it all collapsed here. But yeah, you see the rock curtain flowing down, see how scorched it is. Coming down here, covering up the building. You also have remains of something up here. Again, nobody carved anything. Nobody. It's nonsensical. So you got this pocket of survival starting to get covered up by the rock curtain. Here as well, melted buildings everywhere you look. But you have this pockets of survival up here, and it's being covered up from above, coming all the way down here. And here, not the sharpest photo, excuse me for that, but you can still very well see what's going on. So you have the pockets of survival at the bottom. Up here as well, this one almost got completely buried. This one too. And this one. But you have the huge melt coming from above, see here. Starting to cover the building. So just look here, coming down, flow down here between these two. On top of the roof here, on top of the dome. Top of the roof here is just being covered in melt, and here as well, covering it up. So if all this melt continued to melt down, all of this would have been hidden from us. And here, this is a photo I have shown couple of times before. It's one of my favorite Meltology photo. It's a lot going on in this photo here, but we are looking for the rock curtains right now. So you see here, it's coming over here and here as well, starting to cover it. Very melted here in this area, but here as well, flow coming over, covering the building, and here flowed all the way down, all the way over here, rock curtain, and all the way to the right as well. Look how melted it is. See here what happened to the bricks. See the scorching, melted like ice cream. Just look at it. Nobody carved anything, just look at it. Just open your mind, please. And here as well, you see this wall being covered. You see something at the very top, maybe an aperture, but it got almost completely sealed off by the rock curtain and heat expansion. So everything that was under here is now covered up by the rock curtain. It's coming down here. It looks like through it you can see remains of archways. Remember, they were all components. Here you can see some mangled bricks in the melt. What the fuck are these bricks doing there? And it's coming down here, covering everything up. Just melted like ice cream. You also have a pocket of survival on the top here. And here, a lot going on as well. You see this pocket here, pocket of survival, that goes up here, and then you have this stuff, and then it continues up, just sticking through here. You see the rock curtain coming over, melting over it, and here as well, starting to cover everything up. And here you see sections peeking through, but here it melted down. Here as well, all this flowing down over this wall thing here. And this up here, many apertures possibly, just almost sealed off. Remains of something here, a square also in here. And here, see this sticking through, and then just this huge melt. Look at the color, how hot it was. Melting down. Rock curtaining the building. Some melted building. Nobody carved anything. Just wait and see the evidence I'm gonna show to you after we go through the terms here. And here you see the pocket of survival and this huge rock curtain from above starting to bury the buildings. You see this one goes into the melt, being covered from above, and this one too, and from the back, swelling and heat expansion here as well, being covered from above. And here the rock curtain just managed to reach its way all the way down. High viscosity, just flowing slowly down before it densified, and this is what we now have. Similar to the previous one, pockets of survival at the bottom, and more up here. Just look at it, nobody built like this. It's fused into the melt here. Look at it. You can still see brick lines through here. You see melt dripping down here. And enormous rock curtain from above. And look at this little motherfucker here. All covered up, you can't even go inside it anymore. Nobody built like this. You see the bricks going all the way over here? Why would you do that? And here you got plenty of rock curtains coming down over. You can see this one. This is what I mean when I say how the densification process seems to happen pretty fast, because this one is like mid-air and it's just now all rock solid, right? Rock curtains after rock curtains. And also you see here the plumbing of these melted buildings are still working. Okay. Have you ever asked yourself the question? I will show you some photos later where the water is just flowing out from the top of these melted buildings. There is no lakes, no snow melting, no rain or anything. It just flows like this, even more amounts like this all year, every day, over and over again. Where is the water coming from? Well, they are melted buildings and the water are still flowing through them somehow. Just ask a geologist where it's coming from. They won't have a fucking answer for you. They just have lies. And here, similar to the ones we have seen, you see this pocket of survival here being all covered from above and behind. Over here. This one's almost completely buried. Look at here, something sticking through. More in here. Nobody ever built like this. It's been covered from above. This X-Factor meltdown of this place was pretty intense. The damage is enormous. It's everywhere. Because we have never actually seen the land before. We have never seen the real ground. It's all building melt that's above the floodwaters. So that was a few examples of rock curtains for you. Time for some Cubert columns. This is one of the things of this X-Factor event that's more difficult to explain how it happened. But we see this evidence very many places as well. It got something to do with heat expansion and how it looks like it's conforming to some kind of grid heat field or whatever. So I'll show you a few examples of this as well. This is all melted red bricks doing magic tricks because of the cataclysm. This is not tree trunks or volcano lava nonsense. That's all bollocks. It's all melted buildings. So this is what we call Cubert columns, and I will show you some examples. This is crazy, this Cubert thing. So here you see them again, coming up from the ground here, you see. Just getting all, here they are falling over, getting twisted a little bit. Yeah, you see the damage. It's all red bricks doing magic tricks. And here as well at the bottom, you see them turn into Cubert columns, and at the top it was just too much of a mess melt up there. Here again, you see them here falling over on the left side, and a bunch of Cubert columns. And of course, a pile of bricks. What are they doing there? Well, we know. We know what they're doing there. So here as well, you see them coming in from this side and over here as well. Going this way and also popping up from the ground over there. Here is a large one of the Cubert Columns, very big one, and it's just crazy. This X Factor event looks like you can see remains of an aperture over there, archway or something, a little brick structure. And here as well, the whole building here melted, turned into what they call a mountain in geology, but they are retarded over there, and you see Cubert columns forming up here and also down here. And here, this is a good one, because up here to the right you can still see the brick lines in here and the red carbon 14 color in here. It's all red bricks. All red bricks doing magic tricks. Here as well. You see the brick lines in them. Brick lines, brick lines, brick lines, brick lines. Okay, so yeah, we have one more, excuse me. And here as well, coming up from the ground here, heat expansion. Turn into this hexagonal goddamn columns here. It's crazy, but it is what it is. Here, this one is more melted and mangled, lost its Cubert shape. So yeah, that was a few Cubert columns. So in the next part of the documentary, when I mention Cubert columns, you're gonna know what I mean, and that's these things. So we're gonna take a look at Tetris Walls as well, and that's these blocks, which you most likely, hopefully, have seen before. And you know how some people claim that some advanced technology, they carved it out and fit them perfectly together. That's not what happened. Everything is way easier than that in Meltology. This is just bricks melting together and blowing up into bigger blocks, as we have seen evidence of before, and I have explained before. But the blocks still have a pretty viscous consistency, okay? They are not solid, but they are viscous, but still can remain separated from each other. They don't melt together, right? It's like a water droplet on a leaf. They didn't do so. When you push the water droplet to another droplet, they will, you know, merge together. They didn't do that here. They still had their own individual block shape, but the weight of them, the weight of the wall and the structure above started to sink down on itself, and that's when you get these weird patterns here that when they densified, it just fits perfectly together. You see all these weird patterns. Nobody carved and fitted in here. This is all swelling here. Swell marks. You can see down at the bottom it's all cooked out. We got viscous holes. All kinds of stuff. You got the ground here. The bricks cooked into more like what they call cobblestone, whatever. More swelling marks up here. And then you see here they are just blocks, and here they go into this Tetris stuff again, all getting heat expanded and mangled, and then more blocks, and then more Tetris over here. Nobody built like this. This is all heat damage. All heat damage. And here again you see a bunch of them. Same concept, blowing up to big blocks and sinking down on itself before densification, and that's when you have this Tetris pattern here. It's very easy. You can see here the bricks are churning together, and imagine them melting together a little more. You would have a Tetris block formed something like this, maybe, right? More over here. Going down like this. Yeah, you get the point, I hope, with my explanations. This is all cooked out. Another example of red bricks doing magic tricks, and the background of course completely dustified as buildings. It's just building ash over here, nothing left. Not natural formations. You can see brick lines in here and stuff still. Here more Tetris wall. You got these viscous holes a little bit, and also stains of carbon 14 being squeezed out from the red bricks they once used to be. It's all cooked out. Tetris wall. Here we got some very large ones with a little bit of swelling on them, a little bit of carbon 14 stains, and if you take a look at the left side, it's all mangled here. All mangled, didn't take any shape or form of any block or anything, just completely cooked out. And here as well, this is a good photo, I like it, because you see the Tetris wall here with viscous holes and everything, and then here it's just churning, burning, very very hot in this area here. Electrified, very very mangled and hot. Up here as well, getting cooked out, viscous holes, and here got all filled in here. So why ever build like this and into nothing? It's all blocked off. And in the foreground, all mangled bricks cooked into balloon rocks and stones, whatever you call them, and viscous holes in them when air is trying to separate, as we explained earlier. All heat damage. Here again, see the same stuff. Lots of Tetris wall. All this used to be red bricks. Now it's cooked out. You see the carbon 14 stains being squeezed out, as I explained. And over here as well, a bunch of it. And here it's just getting mangled. Cooked, mangled. And here as well, very cooked out. You see viscous holes, large ones, scorching, cooking. Here as well, it's all cooked out. See here, it's all been cooked. Viscous holes, viscous holes. Tetris wall, viscous holes sinking down on itself, creating these patterns. And here, carbon 14 stains, viscous holes, scorching up here. Nobody built like this. It's all heat damage. Here as well. This one got very puffed up. You can see how they are blowing up, heat expanded here, how they are so rounded and popping out a little bit. Tetris wall, also a result of the X factor. See down here, viscous holes, and it's starting to churn. Lost its shape as a block here and starting to flow a little bit. And here you see this churning again. We saw this one on the right side, but on the left side as well you see more. Getting too hot, you can see here. Let me draw it up for you here. This used to be some kind of Tetris block here, but it's now getting too mangled. Used to be one here. Getting too mangled now, losing its Tetris pattern, and just now it's starting to melt, churn, burn, getting mangled. Let's see. Okay, that was some Tetris wall for you. Hope you like it. And now, one of the most important ones in Meltology is the melt flood or brick flood. Okay, so I know a bunch of the ones who are watching this documentary are probably coming from the Mud Flood Research Society or Mud Flood Research Community, whatever you want to call it. Meltology is disproving the whole mud flood theory because in reality it's just melt floods, okay? Because the mud flood, where the fuck is the mud coming from? Meltology explains it for you. It's the bricks that changed their structural properties when they melted. They became viscous and flowing. And this is a melted structure, and you see the flow lines here looking like melting ice cream, which is all this dirt, mud, so-called substance. You know, they think it's natural. It's not. We have never seen any natural minerals. All we have seen is building melt, building ash, stuff like that. All depending on the amount of heat exposure and duration and pressure, and it turned into different minerals, and dirt is one of them. Mud is just dirt with more moisture in it. So here this is completely devastated buildings, and it's starting to flow away from itself, and it would also bury whatever it comes across in its path. So it's all building melt or brick flood. Melt flood, okay? There is no such thing as mud floods. And here as well you see a melted structure, and it's turning into ash here and just flowing away from itself, creating these valleys and stuff. They think it's natural. It's nonsense. Melt floods. Here as well, more very melted structures. Well, just come on guys, look at it. You still see the bricks and stuff, but you see it melting down here, and all of this will melt down and create this whole lake here of building melt before it densifies. And now all the plants, which we call carbon-14 scavengers or carbon-14 vampires, can come in here and harness all that juicy carbon-14 and thrive and live here and grow here. Here as well, I'm gonna take a better look at this photo. You still see many red bricks here, very mangled. You see a bunch of them in here. More structure, more bricks all over the place, turned into rubble. And this structure here, very, very devastated, turned into rubble, and it's starting to move away from itself, flowing down. It's all melted buildings, all of it. Here you see this circuit board component that's completely blasted to shit. Almost nothing left on it, but see the background. This melted structure here, pocket of survival, of course, very swollen and damaged over here and here at the bottom mostly, but see the rest of it melting down, flowing away from itself. It's only brick floods. This one too, pocket of survival, and you can see how it's just all the melt is just flowing down. You see how uneven the ground is. You never build on ground like this. You would risk all of this just starting to slide down, right? You can't build like this. You need a solid foundation. This is all melt floods, and it's burying itself. You see the background, all of this. The building was completely blasted, and it's melting down, burying everything. Here you see more old world remnants sticking up. And here, completely devastated. And you see the flow lines, everything. You see a little pocket of survival here. You see something here. Can't tell what it is. So yeah, it's no such thing as mud floods, I'm afraid. You were on the right path, and now it's time to move on, because we need to find the truth. And here I'm delivering it to you. You see all these structures and all this melt flowing away from itself. Look here in the back, flowing down, melt floods. And here, very melted structure, and it's just flowing down. See here on the background, dustified. Flowing down, creating this lake of building melt. This one got thoroughly cooked, goddamn. So that's the real explanation of the so-called mud floods. It's all melt floods. So when you watch people talking about mud floods, they are one of two things. They are either uneducated or they are purposefully deceiving to hide the melted buildings from you. Look at all these structures here, very blasted, of course, sticking up everywhere, and you see melt flood everywhere. See here, it's getting buried by the buildings behind it, flowing down, burying it. Up here as well, more melt floods, more melting damage and all that. So that was some melt flood for you. And that was most of the frequently used terms of meltology. In the next section, I'm just gonna show you a bunch of evidence while I explain what's going on in the photos. Most of the photos are from the Yandex search engine, but some are also borrowed from the Mountains Are Melted Red Brick Buildings Facebook group and also Spartan Red's livestream. Make sure to check them out. I'm not gonna bother too much about saying anything about locations of the evidence, because to me it doesn't matter. The whole earth got fried. The evidence is everywhere you look. We have never seen the actual real ground, as I have stated before. All we have seen is different stages of building melt that remained above the floodwaters. Enough shit talk. Let's see some evidence and destroy some geology deceptions. So yeah, let's get to it. I got a bunch of different kinds of evidence from all across the realm, the flat plane we live on. And we are gonna take a look through them all, and hopefully you will be able to see what I see here, so we can move towards the truth as a human race or society. So what you're seeing here is a little pocket of survival. You can still recognize the shape here as a building. It's clearly a building, and of course in the mainstream geology and whatnot, they will tell you that somebody came here and carved this. But I think that's, or I know that's complete nonsense. It's all made up lies and deceptions to hide the fact that we live on a fried circuit board. So that's some remnants. You can still see remnants of columns all the way around it, but it's very damaged, of course. Difficult to see if you don't got the eyes for detail, eagle eye crew. And here from the left you see the melt flood coming down. Again, there is no such thing as melt floods. It's all building melt flowing down, see here, flowing out here. And then of course the water started to fill up here after a while, because the irrigation and plumbing is still working in many of these buildings. And you also have some aperture up here, a little pocket of survival all the way up here. This is in the same area, same type of damage, just very cooked out. Got rock curtained over, and now this is the remains we have. And again, they will claim it's carved. But I'm trying to tell you the truth here, and the carving thing is complete nonsense. Here you see it again, close up. Little pocket of survival. Openings here got rock curtained. Started to fill in and get sealed here. And the background all melting down. You can still see brick lines cooked into block lines at the top in the background. All melted building, and you see the melt flood here. See, no mud flood, it's a melt flood. Brick flood. And here, this is also a very good photo. You see pockets of survival all over the place, but the main thing I'm looking at is from here. You see this structure to the right and goes all the way here. You see the brickwork, apertures, everything still there. So, and then you have a few more buildings on the top that's very melted and buried in melt flood, brick flood. You see apertures, archways, everything, and then the melt flood. And then of course the heat came from the bottom, and here it's starting to get swollen, as you can see, and turning into what geologists call mountains. But you can still see remains of apertures in here, right? And this is where you walk. So this is the top of the building. So what the fuck, where are these openings going to, right? Into the building. This is the roof with more buildings on top. See down here, pockets of survival. You see some random archway. Why build this for no reason? More apertures. You see the melt flood coming out. More swelling. Pocket of survival. Something more up here as well. It's all melted buildings, my friends. All of it. Here it is, more close up and a very sharp photo. Very high quality, and yeah, you walk on top of here, the top of the building. Apertures here, some of them started to fill in and get sealed up from heat expansion. The blocks expanded up and now it's getting sealed. They will tell you that this is like arrow slits, so they could shoot arrows out. It's nonsense. These used to be like this, regular photos. All history is a lie. Here is swelling. You see it starting to melt down a little bit. You can still see brick lines showing through the melt under it. And of course you got the carbon-14 scavengers starting to grow out of this. And this is the same place from afar. You see the building goes all the way around. Still see pockets of survival here. See this swelling here. More on the top. Here, melt flood coming out. This building just melting down, creating these valleys here. It's all melted buildings. All of this. Everywhere you look. Viscous holes in this one. It's all buildings, all of it. And this one, a pyramid that got very fried and turned mostly into brick ash here. They call it sand, but that's nonsense. It's all ash. See rubble everywhere. The bricks turn into blocks here. This is all fried components on a circuit board. Very damaged. And here as well you see remnants of apertures and openings. You see a little pocket of survival here. You see some more brickwork up here, very mangled of course. Got some more here, bricks, more up here, and of course this little pocket of survival. You would never build on this. Just look how you know, it's not stable enough to build on. This isn't like rock solid. It's more crumbly, you know. See a little window in here. Cooked into block lines. Huge melt flood coming down. Pockets of survival. Very fried bricks. All rock ballooned and rocked up. And more remnants of openings here in the flood. See the facade still showing through. Another pyramid component, but it got blasted to shit, so it's almost nothing left. Just a pile of this rubble here with 2 pillars, part of the circuit board, balloon rocks, and of course surrounded with ash, brick ash. And of course we got the Grand Canyon. It's a melted city. And just look at this structure here. It's of course very melted, but you can see some kind of arch and opening in here. You see this square-like little structure. It's very melted, but if you got the eyes you can see it used to be a building. All of this used to be a buildings, all of it. Same thing, just melted red bricks. You can see pancaked brick lines here. You can see a melted aperture in here, some archway. More melted brick lines. More archways, very damaged of course. And you see some structure up here, more apertures, more archways, a little column here maybe. Just buildings melted. You see more apertures here. You see more here. Brick lines, one here as well. Pancaked brick lines, viscous holes, apertures. It's all melted buildings. And brick ash at the bottom. Similar to the previous one. Melted brick lines here in the rubble, rock balloons, remains of apertures, brick lines, pancake brick lines, more apertures and openings, doors, windows, melt coming down here. See, it's melting like wax. With high viscosity and just melting down. And here just melted buildings, and here you see the structure still recognizable, looking like some kind of, you know, what they call cathedrals and stuff. Still see the brick lines in it all over the place, and everything else is just blasted. All buildings here. Another structure, you see the brick lines here, cooked into block lines. It's just a building. What's good about these is how they still have the C14 in them, so they are still red, you know, from the red bricks, because that's what it all was. The red bricks have electrical properties, yeah, they can conduct and store electricity. The old world red bricks, that is, not the new world order ones we have today. So here a bunch of structures, very cooked out. This is also turned into this crumbly substance here. Block lines down here, turning into ash. Block lines, brick lines. And here was a huge lake of liquid building. More structures in the back. It's all buildings. Just open your mind and use your eyes, please. And you should be able to see it. It's all buildings sticking up. Here as well. Just buildings, rock curtained over. The apertures being sealed, block lines here, stains of melt. And here as well, This one is interesting. This structure here, you can see how it tipped over and started to sink down to the left here into the melt. Just tipped over, and you see all these melt lines, pancaked brick lines here, all over the place. It just tipped over. That's also why we have stuff like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, because the ground became all liquid and melting, so it started to tip over, but it densified before it fell over completely. That's why we have stuff like that. Meltology explains everything. That's why it's so important. Another structure here, you see the very top here, and you see block lines cooked into blocks and block lines, so all red bricks. Here as well, remnants, which they will claim is carved. It's nonsense, I'm telling you. Telling you right here, it's nonsense. Here, aperture is still visible, showing through. And here, look at the right side at the melt. How it was all viscous, melting. Viscous holes, just a mess, and brick ash at the bottom. These ain't natural formations, just look at it. It's all melted. You can still see some archway here. Blasted, of course. More viscous holes up here. And here, this is this location again. And you see this pocket of survival up here and all the apertures. Here it is close up, and you still see red bricks. Most of them cooked into rocks here. Got the rock curtain came over and started to bury it here, but it densified before it managed to do so. Still see brick in the rock curtain, most of them balloon rocked. And down here also remains of melted buildings. Huge block lines at the top, melt coming down, rock curtain. Remnants here. See pocket of survival all the way to the right here. See here, some archway in here. All melted buildings. Oh, and you have this wall here with a window in it. Pocket of survival. And here you got this archway. It got all filled in here, and it's just churning and burning up here. And some red bricks. Here, cooked out. Red bricks turn into this. Look how fried it is and how dry it is. Right? It's all been cooked to horse shit here. You see swelling starting to happen here. It's getting mangled, started to melt and turn into what they call mountains. See here, you see this little pocket of survival, you see windows still there, but just look at it, you can't use this for anything. Why build this? You would never build it like this. It's fused into the melt here. Okay? This is all evidence. More swelling up here, mangling. All ruined. And this one is very good. You see pockets of survival down at the bottom. Columns down here and in here. Huge rock curtain coming over, starting to cover it. But take a look up here. You got filled in a bunch of these archways. Right? Pockets of survival up here as well. Nobody carved anything. It's a melted building. This used to be components on a circuit board. Here as well, pocket of survival. And you got a little thing up here as well. Little brick wall with a window. Pocket of survival, while the rest is just looking like this now. All mangled. And they call it mountains. Okay, so this is interesting. This rubble ruins here. It looks very, very, very flooded. You see a top of some dome structure here. This is like just the very top of this building. The rest is melted below it. And you see this little thing with an entrance. Like, where the fuck does it go, right? So pockets of survival. This was all liquid building, this sand here. And when it densified, it broke apart into this small fine grains of sand that we see now. And they think it's a natural mineral or something. So brick ash. More cooked out buildings, and in this one you can really see the circuit board of these buildings with all these columns, etc. It's like the connection pins of a processor in a PC, right? It's the same. You don't need all of these fucking columns for a building, right? But for an electrical component, you do. So all electricity, and it was short-circuited and overloaded with electricity. It melted, got fried, and now it looks like this. You just see random things sticking up. Columns everywhere. Brick ash. More up in the right corner. So all fried components. We live on a melted circuit board, my friends. Here mangled to shit, basically, and you see this pockets of survival here. Why build it? And how do you build it? It's just remains of melted buildings. It turned into this, but small sections survived. See here, pockets of survival. And here another melted structure, very red still, carbon 14. See some kind of you have this kind of structure on cathedrals as well very often, sticking down, and it's all based on the component on the circuit board, right? Brick lines, all melted. A bunch of melted buildings sticking up with you got some pockets of survival as well down here. You got more here sticking up, more walls and stuff here. Rest of them that's just melted into a huge chunk here, which they call mountains. It's nonsense. And it also got flooded, all the building mass from behind. You know, these buildings were so huge. Even Mount Everest is a melted building. So when they melt, they create a lot of mass that has to flow somewhere. So the building behind, or the buildings, melted and it all flowed down here. That's the melt flood or brick flood. No such thing as mud floods. Doesn't exist. So all buildings melted. All of it. And here you see brick lines all spaghettied. So we call this spaghettied brick lines. All red bricks, and it collapsed on itself, and now it looks like this. More melted buildings. You still see a lot of the carbon 14 in it. You see viscous holes, and it's just got fried. Still see brick lines showing through viscous holes. Here again, same area, brick lines all over the place. Carbon 14 being squeezed out. You see it on the surface. All melted buildings, melted red bricks. You can see how it's scorched. Swelling here. And this one cooked out, turned into rocks, all rocked up. Windows being swollen shut. You see red bricks showing through. And this huge wall here, and you just see how it's starting to get swollen here and here. This is all heat damage. You still see the brick lines. Lots of electricity coming up here and cooking the buildings, and they all got swollen, ballooned up all the way here. Heat damage. These people have no clue. See the entrance here, fused into the melt here. And here as well, very, very cooked at the top, cooked into big blocks, but they're starting to melt together into a soup and a mess. Starting to flow now, a little bit here at the top. You can see the huge melt, very, very hot. And then you see melted red bricks down here. Same place. You see the archway survive as usual. You see red brick rubble everywhere and cooked into huge blocks at the top. See here how viscous it used to be before the densification process. And here we saw this location earlier, but you just see the circuit board component looking thing all fried, cooked into blocks, with the pocket of survival here swollen at the bottom, all melting down. Here as well, all this melting into a huge chunk of melted buildings. You see block lines, can still see apertures, and a bunch of pockets of survival here, very, very damaged of course. And this component here is in such good condition compared to this. That's the weird part, how the electricity had to go through all of this. And of course this one probably, most likely, when you see at the size, had more electricity in it, so that's why it got fried compared to this little thing here. It's all electric, look at it. And here, huge building melt, all rock curtaining down, all melted red bricks. You see melt stains and scorching. And then you have this little thing sticking up with a sealed off opening in here. Like, why do this? In the mainstream explanation, when they carved, you know, why do this for no reason, right? It's nonsense. It's all melted buildings. And you see pockets of survival. You see some kind of door used to be here, just into, you know, nothing. And here they survived, but they're starting to get eaten up by the rock curtain and heat expansion swelling from the side here. See viscous holes, all cooked out. And here, very, very melted. You can see, imagine a melting candle, right? A candle. Melting wax, just melting down. And you still see apertures. Carbon 14 in here. And here a little electrical component on the circuit board just sticking up of this little lake, and everything else in the background blasted to shit here. A very good example of rock curtains. So you have the huge melt coming over, starting to bury the building, but it densified before it did, and now we have this pocket of survival peeking through. And here, more huge rock curtains coming down, and you can still see remnants of apertures here. More over there. See this wall here? Apertures. And then of course we have what they call caves. And again they claim somebody carved it. It's nonsense. This is the inside of a melted building. It's the remains. You see the bricks here cooked into this churning rocks here. You see viscous holes everywhere. You see melted stairs. Viscous holes. It's all inside a melted building. Does it look carved? No. It's not. It's a deception. More insides of melted buildings. You can see how it's dripping down. All the melt. Carbon 14 cooked out, of course. This is not a natural formation. And caves doesn't exist. Here you see the early process of the melt. You see the red brick starting to drip down. Scorching here. You need some serious amount of heat to melt bricks like this. So they just start to drip like wax. Mortar snot, brick snot, everything here. See it again, red bricks, all getting melted here. Early melt process, all scorched, cooked out. Brick, rubble, everywhere. Same thing. You see some of the bricks in good condition, and then here it just got too hot. Starting to melt. All fried here. Same thing. Melting bricks. Very melting. More insides of the melted buildings. And here you see at the bottom on both sides how the heat expansion started to happen. Up here and down all the way. All here getting swollen and scorched. Up here scorching, while many of the bricks are still in pretty good condition. See the wave here? They are supposed to, brick lines are supposed to be all straight, and you see it's wavy here. So stuff started to happen up here as well. And here as well, very, very cooked out. The inside of a building, you see the archways back on the red bricks. You see remnants here as well, very cooked out. And then the sides, the walls here are just completely mangled. And here, this is a good example of how you can see how it looks exactly like some kind of component on a circuit board. Just see all these columns and stuff. You don't need this for just a building, right? You don't need it full of columns. But it's a component, and you can see on the color and everything how it's just fried. It's fried. It's scorched and fried. It got hot, you know. Just look at it. In the back too, more components. Here as well, just components. Look at the technology here. And all fried. Fried everywhere. The bricks here cooked into blocks. Something sticking up here. For what reason? And here, more component buildings that goes deep down. Just look at all these stair looking things here. Why would you do this? It's not to walk on here. You just need one fucking stairs. Like here, you have stairs up here. You don't need this. 2 ways to go up like this and yeah, hundreds of fucking stairs. So it's all a component, and also all the arches here and columns. Again, it's a part of the circuit board. You don't need this. Here, same building. You got all these stairs all the way. This side, and this side. And then the component here, and then of course this thing on the top here. With columns, hundreds of fucking columns all the way around. It's a component. Here as well. Just look at the tops here. It's all electric, it's all components. It had a purpose on the circuit board for the free energy. And now of course we pay for electricity through cables like slaves. That's also a reason why we never were told about this. So that's why I'm telling you now. It's a component. Here as well, you see all these tops here. Looking like some ceramic electric things. They are melted, you can see them bending a little bit. You see it, how it's scorched. And again, all the columns and arches, you don't need this. It's all a part of the circuit board component, and then more of these on the top. It's all electric. And you see the pyramids in Egypt, also huge components, cooked out of course, surrounded by ash. And you can still see the circuit board components peeking through the melt here. A bunch of small little components. See how it's all just melting out here? And of course, the city of Cairo just built on top of it. Built on top of ash. Here, see all these components, all fried. All fried components, and these huge ones. Looking something like this, right? Components, small components getting fried, getting cooked out. And here, mangled block lines, and you still see the plumbing pumping water. Pumping water all year, every day. Where is the water coming from? Cubert columns, still with carbon 14 red in it. You can see bricks, more like blocks in this case. All this used to be red bricks, but the X Factor Meltdown made them do magic tricks. You can see them are more mangled up here, scorching, cooked out, and flooded. Just like this. This is proof, guys, that this realm is flooded. We call it the ocean. Because you have these incredible structures underwater. Again, concrete molds, components flooded with water. And this is from Dean. Hope you're watching this. This is very high up. You can see the clouds and everything. This is the tops of buildings, and you can see how steep down it goes here when it goes deeper. That's the real ground. It's all the way down here at the bottom of the ocean. We have never seen the real ground. But what Dean found after he rotated the photo, I have done it now for you so you don't need to. Look here at these huge arches and the column here just going down into the abyss. It's all huge. This is the top of buildings that's melted. See here the melt. And again, you see the same kind of so-called caves. It's all melted buildings and it's flooded. And you can't melt it like this underwater, so the water came in after. All melted buildings. Here again, same thing. Red bricks melting here. Brick ash at the bottom. And flooded in. Pocket of survival here. And here you see a heat expansion starting to marshmallow the building. This is the only thing that remains. Where is the rest of it? It's all melted down. More remnants of apertures, and here you can still see it's of course very cooked out, but it looks like one of these rock walls. Used to be red bricks cooked into rocks, and now it's melting more into this mess here. You can just take a hammer and easily knock off parts of this. It's not solid anymore. Just melted buildings. Here as well. See melted stairs here. All melted and mangled. Nobody carved or chiseled. Another melted structure. You see brick lines everywhere. You see some apertures. Maybe archways here peeking through. You see bricks up here all melted. Little pocket of survival. More bricks. Sitting in brick ash. Now look at these buildings here. This is a place we have seen plenty of times before in my older videos, but for this documentary I'm gonna show it again in pretty sharp quality. And again, nobody carved or chiseled anything. It's all remnants of melted buildings turned into this as the buildings got swollen, heat expanded and everything, turned into this. And this is what most people would call mountain, right? But it's all melted brick and concrete. Damn, I love this Yandex search engine. You can just zoom and still have all the quality. This is all melted buildings. See scorching. Apertures up here. More up here. Got something in here as well. More. It's all melted buildings. And here just very cooked out, cooked into blocks. You see viscous holes everywhere, just collapsed and turned into this mess here. And brick ash, and of course you see some more components in the background that managed to survive. You have one smaller one here, something sticking up here, got more stuff. Here you got something, and of course this bigger one over there. It's all components. Pockets of survival. See remnants of apertures. You see brick lines in here. Cooked into block lines. This one also tipped over, it looks like. And a little pocket of survival on the top. And a wall going here. More pocket of survival. You see this long pocket of survival up all the way to the top. This walkway. And the rest scorched, cooked. You see archways, block lines, melt flood, more apertures. And here, waves, layers after layer of brick melt flow, flowing down. Pancake brick lines. Pancake brick lines, viscous holes, cooked out melted buildings. And here is this place again, close up. You see what happened to the red bricks. They are not bricks anymore. They are small red rocks, all cooked out all over the place. Turn into this, what they call cobblestone, which is just all made up. It's all cooked out bricks. You see brick lines here, tipped over, carbon 14, and you see the apertures. See all the brick lines and the pocket of survival. Here, flood waters, you see brick lines, block lines, and then of course remains of apertures in here. Very, very cooked out. Most of them turn into rocks, but you still see red brick rubble. Red bricks in it all over the place. Nobody built like this. It's a fried building. Here went all blocky and rocky up here. Opening starting to fill in from heat expansion. And here you got some pockets of survival. You got something up here. But the interesting part is up here. It's not the sharpest photo, but you see some kind of wall structure here. Rock curtain coming down. And also you got a little wall and some door or something behind this little vampire here. So all melted buildings. Brick lines, huge block lines here. Carbon 14 stains, and of course remnants of openings. Here, huge melt here, and just pockets of survival everywhere. Melt flooded from behind, of course. See all this? Buildings everywhere here. And here you see a comparison from this is some kind of ruins somewhere, and this is a circuit board. So you can see all the columns, etc. It's just like the pin connectors on different components. Remnants of apertures. And cooked out red bricks. They're not bricks anymore. but they used to be. You can see it if you got a little bit of brain power, just a little bit. You should be able to see it. Here, this place again. With this little pocket of survival and just remnants of apertures. Would you ever... You see this is pretty far up from the ground here. So how can primitive people carve into here? It's all nonsense. It's bollocks, my friends. There is more down here. And of course you have stuff like this structure here, all being eaten by the rock curtain and swelling from behind. But it's a little pocket of survival. Same thing, you got this little wall here. With a huge scorching meltdown rock curtain. Just like this. Pocket of survival here. Nobody built like this. You see brick lines in here. Brick lines cooked into block lines. Another pocket of survival. Of course they will tell you it's a bunker or something. You see a red brick rubble here. And the rest of the bricks just turn into this. More pockets of survival. And you see the roof here. It's all being eaten up by this swelling and rock curtain here. The building here being buried by the rock curtain. See apertures in here. Here as well, pockets of survival. Never built like this. More here. You see the rock curtain starting to come over the wall here. It's all fused into the melt. Just look at it. Up here as well, bricks cooked into this. And more stairs, pocket of survival. And here again you see this huge swelling here from the heat. Heat expansion, heat coming from the bottom and climbing up this building, and it's just mangling it. But the event stopped before this whole building here turned into this. And we would never be able to know this or see it. Another impossible to build structure. And the rest just melted. And here, this is got this from James. This is one of the best evidence I have seen, so thank you, James. You see here bricks here cooked into this, stones, you see some openings, you see remnants of a little wall here or something sticking out, block lines, and of course the main structure here all into the melt with block lines, huge archway into nothing, wall sticking out, more brickwork down here, You see, you can never build like this. You got the window still visible here. Maybe remnants of an archway here. Something's there. All the way up here. Huge block lines. Melted building. Here it is again, from further away. You see it just peeking up here. Pockets of survival all the way down here. And just block lines. And here, two things sticking up and being eaten by the swelling and rock curtain. All this melt coming here, starting to cover the buildings. And of course, water still flowing from some of these buildings here. More rock curtain melt coming here from the top, starting to bury the building. See here, this chimney or whatever it is all into the melt. Here as well you have, you know, can you even go in here? Is it hollow inside or is it a huge melt, so it's just like 1 meter thick inside here? But it's all covered by a huge melt here, rock curtain. And of course there is someone using it and they have solar panels and stuff. So some of them are still usable. Same thing, rock curtain burying the building. Swelling. I think we saw this one, excuse me. Here we are making professional documentaries, as you can see. Pocket of survival, you see a swelling and melt. Some wall thing going down here. Brick ash flowing away from the building itself. And some more pockets of survival on the foreground, all sitting in brick ash here. This is what people call dirt or something. In geology it's nonsense, it's brick ash. And plants love to grow in it. They can, you know, they can feast on this carbon-14 that's still in it. And here we see more fried components cooked into blocks. You see the scorching and yeah, it got hot. It's damaged components. Same thing, very very fried. All these archways, etc. It's all part of the components on the circuit board, as I have shown before. But here we got these layers, which we have seen. Here they are cooked into blocks, and then you have a layer of bricks that survived, you know. It's weird, this X Factor event, what it did. And here as well, more red bricks that survived, cooked into blocks at the top. See melting here. All this used to be like this. Now it's gone. Another component, fried. You see all these columns, you don't need them for a building. I'm just saying, you gotta use your head here. What's the purpose? It's because it's a component. You could, you know, you could split this in, you know, you just need half, not even half of them, 1/3 or 1/4. And you'd be fine. So yeah, just saying. Here, pockets of survival. You see the mangling here, swelling, melting together. Carbon-14 still in it. Pockets of survival. And of course, the New World Order inheritors came and put some roofs on them, trying to use whatever ruins they found. And here, completely mangled. Another fried component. What's the purpose of having just a building like this? Right? You don't need all of this for a building. You just don't. It's a component. And it's melt flooded as well. The ground here was all building ash, brick ash. And here, this is a cool photo. You see the Tetris wall at the bottom, and then you see the melt here. It looks like it wants to go Cubert column, but it didn't manage to do so. And here, a huge structure melted down. Got fried as well. You see remnants of some archway here and here. You see brick lines, but this place got very, very, very fried. Very melted. Another structure on top here. You can still see, looks like here, a cylinder tower with the roof still in there. Aperture up here. Old walled buildings cooked out. And here, full of viscous holes all over the place. Melting down, melted red bricks, brick ash at the bottom. When you see this, then you start to understand the scale of these buildings, you know, compared to the little things we have today. It's all melted red bricks. You see the melt flowing here. Brick lines. More remnants. See stairs melted in here. Apertures, archways, just melted in. Ruins on the top, it's not carved. It's nonsense. And here you see a place that got very cooked as well. Very, very fried. But you see remnants still here, recognizable as buildings. Sticking up all over the place, archways. See, it's all buildings sitting in ash. The deserts are all building ash, you know. Here you see brick lines, archways. It's all been melted. Archway here as well. Same place, very melted buildings. Nobody built like this, and nobody carved anything. And you can clearly see it's all man-made, all of it. Some door here. Remnants of an archway into nothing. It's all melted down. Buildings in the back all turn into ash. And here it's the same thing. Nobody built like this. And It's no water erosion or any nonsense like that, you know. They had to come up with lies to explain all of this. We just inherited a melted world, a melted realm, so they had to come up with some lies. So they said water erosion and carvings and natural formations and all this nonsense. See the viscous holes? It's a building that's melted. See here? Melting, flowing down, creating a melt flood. So we can take a short little look at Google Earth as well, just so I can show you some melt and show you that continents don't exist. So we're gonna do that. Also, if you want to see what I mean, remnants, melt flood coming down here. Huge balloon rocks. You see remnants of stairs here. You see the melt here flowing over the stairs. There's a rock curtain here. The stairs going into the melt. You never build like this. Pocket of survival up here. Balloon rocks. Melted buildings. Melted red brick. And here as well. Melted structure. You see the facades. The front is still here. You see the entrance. Something up here as well. Some columns. Remnants of arches and columns up here. It's all melted down. See, it's all been melted. This is not carved. Just look at it. So let's have a look at Google Earth. So here is the spinning space testicle they claim we live on, which is of course a fraud and an insult to humanity. But here you can see North Africa is all building ash here. You got this place, got very hot, it's all ash now, nothing left. Over here as well, in Saudi Arabia, it's all cooked out, you can see melt flowing here. You see carbon-14 still in it, here as well. And what's also interesting, when you zoom in, you can see what looks like the Lichtenberg effect in the patterns and everything here. So you can see here, looks like the Lichtenberg effect. Here as well, fried. It was an electric event, you know, so looks like electricity flowed through here and left their mark. And you can also see here, this is the tops of buildings, this is where we live. And then it's shallow waters here, and then it just goes straight down. So the real ground level is down here. And here is upside down land on the spinning ball they claim we live on. All fried out, carbon-14, see the red color. It's all melted here. It's all melted. Cooked. It's ash. Ruins. It's a wasteland. So yeah, you can see for yourself on this Google spinning space testicle and just see the melt. See here, Iceland. You see here how it's flowing out. So all building melt, and then the water came in after, and this is what remained above the floodwaters. Here you can also see the Lichtenberg effect. Here too. Frying coming in. So that pretty much wraps it up. That was Meltology explained in just over 2 hours. I really hope you learned something, doing my best to expose this truth here on the internet of censorship. This truth is very important because it reveals how great humanity potentially can be if we just manage to unite and get rid of the parasites once and for all. Now we are divided by skin color, politics, wars and other nonsense distractions that in reality don't matter. We don't need all this bullshit going on. If you enjoyed the video, please share it out with your friends, family and on your social media. The more people who learn about this, the faster we can move towards a better world for everyone. If you want to support my work and would like more videos like this on a more frequent basis and also increase the chance to be recognized by other like-minded people in the streets, there is merch for sale. I also have a PayPal for direct donations and a Patreon as well for a monthly donation of your choice. Anything is very much appreciated. Doing this takes a lot of work and time. Make sure to check out the other Meltology channels as well. Spartan Red for daily Meltology live streams, Our Melted Reality for boots on the ground evidence, Davros Navy, also boots on the ground evidence, The Truth Seeker 69 for live streams, and When the Buildings Cried for another documentary as well as live streams. Links to all of this will be in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching everyone. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, share and subscribe. And I will see you next time on future live streams and in videos.